Welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast, where hunters new and old come to learn and find inspiration from stories of hunts gone by. Everyone is welcome to enjoy the outdoor way of life, and there is no better time to start than right now. So let's head into the great outdoors with your host, Dylan Ray.
All right, guys, welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast. As always, this podcast is presented by our friends over at ScentLock. Now, I heard there was a little bit of confusion. This is, in fact, still Bear Archery's podcast. However, ScentLock has been a really good partner to Bear Archery and a really good friend of the podcast. So it's a Bear Archery podcast presented by ScentLock, which they make phenomenal clothing, and what really sets them apart is their carbon technology for maximum odor absorption that'll buy you more successful time in the woods. So guys, go check out our friends over at ScentLock, because I myself am a ScentLock fanatic. And here in just a minute, I'm gonna mention a way that you can win some free ScentLock. So exciting stuff going on. This is the most exciting episode of the year for me, at least. We've got Chris Parrish and Ryan Schutz on from Bear Archery. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing good.
Now, if you've listened to the podcast any amount of time, you've heard both of these voices. Chris is the product manager on the traditional side of things, as well as crossbows and broadheads. And then Ryan is the product manager on the compound side of things. Am I correct in that?
Yep. Yes, you
are. They make all of our dreams come true, basically. And dreams are is the right word to use, because I was talking with somebody at a Mountain Archery Fest event, and we were talking about the redemption, and we're talking about how there's just no way that Bear Archery can come out with something better. They answered all of our questions with the redemption, and then this year they released a new bow that takes the redemption and furthers it. So I'm so excited to jump in. Now, before we dive in, I've got to mention this is launch week at Bear Archery, which again is the most exciting week of my life. But Bear Archery is doing something incredible this year. So they've got one huge giveaway, and that giveaway involves a free axis hunt for you to come on with me. Me and you are going to go on an axis hunt in Texas at Texas Hunting Resources in the summer of 2022. But beyond that, Bear Archery is going to give you a brand new 2022 Refine to take with you, set up with all of your Trophy Ridge accessories, a React Pro sight, a Hitman stabilizer, and a Hexlight quiver. So everything you need to head into the woods in Texas. But ScentLock is also going to give you a $300 gift card and an easy radial ozone producer. So everything you need to go to Texas and hunt axis deer, you are going to be hooked up with in a big way. So head over to Bear Archery, get entered to win that giveaway, no purchase necessary, and I'm going to take you down to Texas, and we're going to hunt with our friends at Texas Hunting Resources. And but even beyond that, Bear Archery is going to have 8 days of giveaways, and they're going to give away a bow a day. So as we dive through all of these new bows, Bear Archery is going to give away one of those a day for the next 8 days. So make sure and go follow Bear Archery on social media, because you've got 8 chances to win a new bow and 1 chance to win a free hunt along with some other gear. So make sure and head over and check out Bear Archery. Now, I've got these gentlemen on for what was last year the most listened to episode of all time, and that is the new bow launch episode. So we're going to dive into all the new bows that Bear Archery has to offer, and take your pick, basically. Take your pick, because we have a lot to go through, a lot of new and exciting bows. And we're going to start in the Legend series on the compound side of things, and then we'll jump to the traditional bows and then back into the mainline bows on the compound side of things, and just a lot to go through, a lot of exciting bows coming out. So Ryan, let's start with you, man. What do we got in the Legend series for compounds?
So I'm going to echo your excitement. It means so much to Chris and I. So we work all year, actually some of these multiple years before we're able to launch them and tell everybody. So it's kind of like we get to be Santa Claus today. So we love that, right? So we know all, we've been talking about the details and scrutinizing them for months and, keeping it all kind of a secret as we develop and things like that. And now we finally get to scream at the top of our lungs all the work we've been doing on these projects. So as excited as people are to see them, we're every bit as excited to finally get them on the market. So it's a big week for us at Bear.
I don't know if the guys at Bear Archery just know I'm a loudmouth. Because I was pestering Chris at the Pope and Young show, and I've been pestering Alec to give me some sort of hints. And I guess they just know I'm a loudmouth because they're like, we can't tell you anything. And I'm like, come on, I can't wait. And so I'm so excited to dive into all these bows and talk about them.
I really feel like the last 2 years, when we get those type of comments, we all get really quiet because we have worked hard to listen to the customer. So almost anytime everybody comes up, they're like, oh, you should do this and this. What are you guys working on? And I get real quiet because I'm probably working on exactly what you just told me, but I don't want to tell you that. So we're trying to make sure that we answer really everybody's needs and wants in our line. And we feel like we've definitely made huge strides in that the last 3 years, really, but we'll also see it this year.
No, I that was the first thing when I looked at this lineup. As I looked at this, I'm like, oh snap, man! I've seen a lot of requests for that, or oh crap, man. That was the one thing I heard last year, and now it's here. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people are going to be incredibly excited to hear this lineup and to see, oh man, they really did listen to what I said.
Yeah, well, good. That's what we hope everybody thinks that would be a great launch for us if the majority of the people thought that. Well, I can jump in. So to start off with it in our Legend series is we did a legit special edition last year, which was offered in a couple unique colors. So the bow did so well that we're going to do that again, and we offer those in what we call throwback colors, which is the Fredbear camo on the limbs and then a solid riser. So it just gives you a unique look. And then we also take the Trophy Ridge accessories that are in that particular ready to hunt package and we give them a special color well that kind of blends. So you really get that custom look without the custom price or buying each thing separate. So this year we did a throwback black, which would be a black riser and then Fredbear limbs. And then we also did it in a green. So you get that kind of an olive green colored riser with our throwback. And then those are paired with some tan accessory highlights on the really your wrist sling and then also on the quiver. So we're excited about that too. And then one other thing that I'm going to hit a lot today through the line is we've upgraded some of the components on many of the RTHs, and one of them being the V-rest. So this particular bow is the first one I'm going to talk about today, but its RTH now also comes with our a newer Trophy Ridge V-rest. So shoots really well, and the look is great.
Yeah, that Fredbear camo is outstanding. And I've really tried to find as much in that Fredbear camo as I can because it's just so incredible. And I think this is a good time to mention our friends over at Boning. They have some awesome Fredbear branded products, and one of them being a Fredbear camo wrap, which is what I'm currently running on my arrows, and they just look incredible. And so if you're going to go with a bow that has that Fredbear camo, either on the limbs or the whole bow, I would highly encourage you to check out Boning for those wraps because they are just awesome looking wraps. And so that Fredbear camo has done really well, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we are too. It's one of those camos, we brought back, added some, new technology to it, as you know, and it just works really well with some of these new solid colors. Gives you a unique look.
I'll tell you what it worked really well on is that truck for Total Archery Challenge. That thing was outstanding.
It really, it's a good pattern, and I think it looks good on bows that have a smaller surface area, but then when you see it on that truck with a very large surface area, wow, look
I know
amazing.
It looks fantastic on my mag riser. That's all I know.
And that has a big surface area, so which looks great for a bow.
Yeah. Now, the next bow in the lineup is one that I'm excited about. I love the specs on it. I love a 32-inch axle to axle. That's kind of my sweet spot, I feel like. So let's dive into the Alaskan.
Yep, the Alaskan, we'll just even start with its name. So a year ago, we came out with a Whitetail Legend Bow, right? So paying homage to Fred. So Alaskan is a reuse of one of his original names too, or very early used name, I should say. So we're excited to do that. We love to be able to reuse some of these names. This bow has a lot of technology into it, so it's a very exciting bow. So I'll hit the specs and then I'll go a little deeper into really what this bow is. So it's a very fast bow at 335. And how it's getting that speed is we did a new cam on this bow. We call it the DHC hybrid cam. So one of the things that we heard a lot after we launched some of the bows last 2 years with our new EKO cam was there's still a large amount of kind of bear shooters that liked the hybrid cam, right? So what we did is we took that hybrid cam and we pumped it up from the old 75% let off to this is an 80% let off cam, and you still get a lot of draw length adjustment. So really tried to take that our existing hybrid cam and we improved it with the let off, and then also our draw length on this particular Alaskan bow is 25 and a half to 31. So some of those archers that have those longer draws like 30 and 31, we're giving you another potential bow to shoot here. um, I'll round out the specs. You'd already mentioned axle to axle is 32 inches, and then the brace height is very nice at 6.25. And then you can get this in our normal limbs, 45 to 60 and 55 to 70. But I'll hit a little bit more on this bow because it's really fast and maneuverable. A lot of people like that 32 inch, which is great, but it's still under 4 pounds. And then you get that 335 speed. So you've got something that's light, very maneuverable still, and then very, very fast. And with that 80% let off, you're still getting a lot of let off at a very solid back wall. This particular model, is also offered in our olive color that we launched last year, the throwback black, which is something we just started to offer this year. And we have just recently partnered with Mossy Oak, and this will be in the Mossy Oak breakup country. So one thing that we're also excited about is vibration is something I think I've talked about for the last 3 years with Bear. So pretty important to us here at Bear is so we changed our limb dampening system on many of the bows this year. This is the first one I'm talking about today is we added a new system called our Killer Wave limb dampening system, which is an in-limb system. So it goes in between the limbs, especially designed for these limbs. So it has a wedge built in there, so it fits extremely firm and helps take any really felt vibration out, as well as any, of course, audible, which is very important to us hunters.
Now, that's one thing that on all of these bows, we kind of heard that last year. Vibration and noise was an issue, and that has been squashed this year. That has been taken to a whole new level. I know that if you shoot some of these bows and you say it's loud or it's got vibration, you might just be you might just be crazy is all I can say, because I've heard that's just been squashed this year completely. Now, what was the kind of reasoning from switching from the EKO cam and putting this cam on that bow, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I'm going to tell you about another bow really soon that you're already aware of, that has an EKO cam that gives you a lot of the same things I'm speaking for here. But what we really wanted to do on this one is still, I mean, there was still a large amount of people that liked our older, I wouldn't say older, our hybrid system that was still offered in a few bows, but a little bit more performance. It really comes down to each shooter feels things a little bit different, right? 80% for a long time feels great. Just depends on what style shooter you are. Some of us, even with the EKO, which is great about it, is you can adjust it, right? So you can go 75 to 90. So you really get to pick and choose. But when you really get into those high let-offs, I mean, it feels quite a bit different, right? Which is fine. For most archers. So we're just really trying to continue with the theme of the last couple of years of giving everyone their own choice, right? And one thing that you said on vibration that means a lot to me is what we've tried to do is keep our bows fairly light. And of course, a lighter bow lends itself to being a little tougher to reduce that vibration at times, right? So trying to give everybody the best we can in both there. Really lends to push us into the technology side of finding better ways to stop vibration with these limb dampeners and string stops, and then just total performance of the cam as well.
Now, what I like about this bow, and this is by no means, I don't want this to sound like a negative term because that's what I like about the bow, is it seems as though everything has been simplified on the bow. And that's an appeal to me. Because over the last couple of years, I myself have looked at bows and tried to figure out what can I simplify on my bow. So I love that this bow has just been simplified down. Was that a purpose? Did you have that simplicity in mind in designing this bow, or did it just kind of come out with that performance at that design, if that makes sense?
No, we did that. We hadn't really mentioned yet, but I will. Like this bow runs at $499. So what we did, we wanted just that rock solid type bow where you sometimes when you make it a little bit more simple, it seems that way where it should tune extremely easy. I mean, it should stay in tune very easy. I mean, you should be able to, not that we want you to beat these up too bad, but that's what hunting is at times, right? So it should just be nice and simple. And I mean, of course, we love the Trophy Ridge accessories. You pair it with some of those that are just kind of bulletproof, and you've got a rock solid bow that should perform at a very high level at 335 feet per second. Some things like that with a very new kind of cutting edge cam with what we've done with that higher let off. So gives you a little bit of everything, but still keeps it simple.
Right. Now let's move on. We have a couple more bows to cover before we get to that flagship bow, which I'm excited to talk about as well.
Yep. So moving through the line, the next new one is Whitetail Legend Pro. So we offered the Whitetail Legend last year. Now we've taken that and we sped it up a little bit and put the EKO cam on there. So you were alluding to, are you going to do something with the EKO in this kind of price range and feel? So yes, we definitely did. So the Whitetail Legend Pro is a bow only, and it is MSRP at $559.99. And it's got very good specs. So it has the EKO cam, which means it's adjustable let off from 75, 80, 85, 90. The speed is 339. The bow weight is 3.8 pounds. So it's well south of 4. It's 6.25 brace height. It's 30-inch axle to axle. Adjustable draw length is 26 to 30, and then you have 45 to 60 limbs or 55 to 70s. So this thing is a rocket ship in a very small package.
If I'm wrong, don't shoot me down. But is this the same riser as the Divergent? We're close to it.
It's close to it, but no, it's not the same
and
riser.
Here's why I say that, because I was in love with the riser on the Divergent. I loved that riser. Very clean looking riser. That bow, the Divergent performed phenomenally. So that's why I asked, because it looks very similar to the Divergent riser. And so I just wanted to ask that real quick.
Nope, it is similar, but no, it's not the same. But it also has some of the same features I talked about on the Alaskan, where it does have the new killer wave system. So to fight that vibration. Also, we've upgraded the string stop this year. We're just talking about it, but we've made it a little bit more more oversized, and then also adjust the material a little bit. So we've seen some pretty good improvement in that as well. But this bow's got quite a bit of adjustment, and then especially those tree stand hunters that want something very, very fast, but then still there's a large trend for a shorter axle to axle in that 30-31. This bow should answer that, as well as very light.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic looking bow. Again, love the specs on it. We haven't got to the bow that really tickles my fancy on specs yet. But that one there has some incredible specs. And when I looked at this bow, I think I can my wife is a 26-inch draw, and I really thought to myself, I'm like, would be a phenomenal bow for her to shoot.
Yeah, I definitely think it would. So I shoot that. Usually I'm a 26.5. We just, maybe I'm getting a little picky there, but I've shot all these, but that shoots extreme. The speed that comes out of that bow is just, it makes you smile. I've said this, I think, before on this. There's certain bows or if you're a hunter, certain weapons and things like that that you just shoot and you walk away smiling. This was one of it. How fast it goes for the size and feel of it in your hand is just something it's a joy to shoot.
I say it'd be a good bow for my wife, but I don't think you could pry the legit from her hands. Because the first day I took her out shooting that bow, and we'll get to the legit, but the first day I took her out shooting that bow, she busted 3 knocks off of her arrows at 20 yards. And I'm like, well, this is going to get expensive. But she shoots that bow phenomenally. So I don't think I could pry that from her hands, but I do think this would be a great bow if I could. Now we move on to the Redemption, and we've got some awesome new colors that I'd like to mention on there real quick.
Yep, we can do that. So Fred Bear is still offered. Real Tree Edge is still offered. And then Vail Whitetail is new to our line. And it's also available. So it's on the Redemption. And then Mossy Oak Bottomlands, which we think.
Oh, you didn't build that up enough. Hold on. You didn't build that up. The greatest pattern of all time, other than Fred Bear camo.
I like that you threw Fred Bear in there.
I love Mossy Oak Bottomland.
I'm not sure if you've seen one in Bottomlands yet, but it looks great. Now I'm very near and dear to the Fred Bear pattern, very near and dear to it. But a lot of time worked on that project. But the Bottomlands does look fantastic. There's no doubt, especially if you like that old school look. And then we also offer that in the throwback black and the throwback tan.
Throwback tan looks really good too. The tan riser was something that a lot of people wanted back.
Yep. In the history of Bear, we've done that tan riser on all kinds of different bows at different times for a lot of customers. It was nice to see it go back. I actually, from an aesthetic standpoint, that's probably my favorite looking one that we've offered at this time in this model, but they all look really good.
Yeah. No, so the Redemption does stay in the lineup with some awesome new colors. But now it's time to get to the meat and the potatoes. Now, if you remember, we had Alec Wyman on the show not too long ago, who's the marketing director at Bear, and he said, Dylan, I have a bow for you that you're just gonna fall over on. And I was trying to think to myself, I'm like, well, if he says that, it's got to be a 32 or a 33-inch axle to axle, has to be, and it's got to be somewhere close to 6.5-inch brace height, because I've said multiple times that 32 6.5 or 33 6.5 or even 32 7 is like my sweet spot, my favorite bow of all time. And so then I saw this bow and I thought, good Lord, Alec Wyman, you know my heart. So let's dive into it, man. The Bear Archery Refine, which, again, you can win one of these in a giveaway over on the Bear Archery pages. Go check those out. But let's talk about this bow because it is awesome looking.
Yep. So let's just start with that. I'll hit the specs in a second. But this looks like no other Bear bow that we've launched in a while. So on purpose. So the VRS system we launched last year, but we took it to the next level this year. We took those discs and we moved them out front to kind of give you a little bit of a visual. So we moved them out front. We also added another one of those discs to the string stop rod to help take vibration out of the bow right there where the string catch is also help taking vibration out of the bow. We've also changed that angle a little bit. And I make it sound like a small thing. It matters. So a lot of vibration was a lot of technology trying to take vibration out of this bow was put into this bow. We also kept that kind of dumbbell system, moved it more in the middle of the riser on the bottom and top cut, and then we also added the killer waves to this. So a lot of vibration dampening system built into this bow, which really gives it a different and unique look, which we're excited about. Also, kind of a different look is it is a little bit longer axle to axle at that 33 inch, which is something that I know is near and dear to you. So it's 33 inch. The brace height is kind of in the middle of where you like it. It's at that 6.37. So
which is
I can
great.
tell you, yep, I think it shoots very well and keeps the speed where we're winning it to at 342 feet per second. And the bow is just over 4 pounds, so it's still very light. And then we were on the draw length, still we're trying to make sure that we keep in that 30, 30 and a half. So this bow is adjustable from 26 and a half to 30 and a half. And then it is the EKO cam. So of course you get that adjustable let off at that 75, 80, 85, and 90. This bow is 45 to 60 limbs and 55 to 70. Another exciting part of this bow is we added a new grip. So in the past, like with the Redemption, we included 2 grips. We continue to include 2 grips. So we have the Versa grip, which is the slimmer, very, very small, almost the size of the riser type grip, which a lot of majority of archers tend to go that way. And then we have our new Grizz grip, which is just ever so slightly bigger with kind of a hump right in that really will fit most guys right in the palm. Just gives you a little bit more solid contact. It doesn't increase your contact, so to say, but just lets it sit there just that little bit better. We've actually converted a lot of very slim grip shooters to this. So it's just a little bit bigger than our Versa grip, but we're very excited about it. So far, everybody that has shot it has kind of preferred it over the slim, which is not exactly what we're expecting. Other exciting kind of feature on this bow, so to say, is last year on the show we talked about our partnership with Onyx Maps. And so we continued that this year and we moved it to the Refine. So when you buy a Refine, you get a 3-month Onyx premium membership, which is included with your purchase. And we also still are doing that on the Legit, including the Legit special edition. So that's a very important partnership for us. And we're happy to be able to continue that on the Refine.
Now, one thing I do want to go back and mention on specs and why this is really a sweet spot for me is that 4.4 pounds. Now, I understand that Bear has much lighter bows in their lineup this year, which a lot of guys like a light bow, which is fine. But that 4.4, 4.5 pounds, I really like. It's not too heavy, but it's not too light. The Redemption was getting a bit light for me. It was not too light at 4.1 pounds, but bumping it up to 4.4, I really, when I come to full draw, that really holds a lot more solid for me. And you don't get near affected by a crosswind. And I seem to shoot a little heavier bow a lot better. So this bow really just hits all of my specs that I love in a bow. Now, on colors, you still get all of the great colors that we just mentioned on the Redemption, along with those new colors, the Veil Whitetail, Mossy Oak Bottomland, the throwbacks, still with the olive and iron. Now, one question that I probably got more after last year's episode than any other question I got all year long was, what bow are you going to be shooting and why? So I'm going to go ahead and answer that for you. I'm going to be shooting the Refine. Alec was spot on. That bow is right up my alley. Now, I want to make note of this. I don't want to, I'm not shooting it because it's the quote unquote flagship bow. I'm not shooting it because it's the most expensive bow in the lineup. That doesn't matter to me. because I can go ahead and tell you there was a bow that we'll discuss later on that I was highly contemplating shooting over that bow, which is a lot cheaper of a bow. But again, the reason I'm shooting that bow is the specs are phenomenal. Comparatively across all the other bows, it really just hit the specs I like a lot. Now it's also really hard for me not to grab the Whitetail Legend because those specs really line up well with what I like too. 4.3 pounds, 6 and 3/4 inch brace height, a little short on 31, but I love the specs on the Whitetail Legend. But the Refine really hits my specs perfectly. And so if you want me to, if you want more information on why I found those specs to be great, for me, that dates back to about 2013, where I really discovered that those specs just is what I shot well. And I can dive into that more later, but that is the bow I'll be shooting because those specs just really, really hit me well. Now, let's jump to the traditional line. But before we do that, I got to give a thank you to our friends over at Three Rivers Archery, which they were on last episode. They asked me and they said, "Hey, what has Bear got coming out?" And I said, "Man, I wish I could tell you because I wish I knew." But they are great friends of Bear Archery, great supporters of the traditional community. They're the largest in-stock dealer of traditional gear. So for all of your traditional needs, if you're going to tackle one of these new Bear Archery traditional bows that we're talking about and you need everything to go along with it, head over to threeriversarchery.com because they have everything you need to shoot traditional archery, and they have the expert advice to get you what you need. So, Chris, take over the show, man, and tell us about all of these new exciting bows we got on the traditional line.
Well, it's good to be back. And as Ryan said, this is a very exciting time, and we get to actually talk about all the hard work that was put into this over the year. But I'm pretty excited about the traditional line. There's several things here, and I don't know whether you have a starting place you want to start from or you want me to just run down through it, and I'd be glad to do that as well.
You run through it however you see. You're the man behind it. You get to pick.
Yeah, okay. Well, the first thing I'll start off with is the takedown limbs. We offer two at this point, which is the number one limb and number three limb. And the number one limb, will make a 60-inch bow out of a B riser and a 56-inch bow out of the A riser. Number three is 60 with an A riser and a 64-inch bow with a B riser. Well, we've brought back the number two limb this year, which kind of hits that sweet spot for a lot of traditional shooters. Typically, your longer draw guys will like a little longer bow. It's a little smoother, a little less stacking. So the number two limb takes a B riser and gives that guy a 62-inch bow, and gives the guy shooting the A riser a 58-inch bow, which is a little bit longer than the 56, a little smoother shot, a little less stacking, and still very portable in a tree stand or a ground blind. So, great combination there. And it's something that the traditional guys have been asking for a while. And so we decided it'd be a great time to bring them back out for a 2022 launch.
Now, might I just say that I have fallen in love with the latch system on that mag riser, and seems as though everybody that looks at my bow or shoots my bow also loves that latch system. So that's just a big that's a big win for Bear Archery, in my opinion.
Well, it's been around since Fred brought out the takedown in the late 60s or early 70s, I should say. And from a personal opinion, I really think he was kind of ahead of his time when it comes to the engineering part of that. But it's been tried and true, and it's worked for years, and it's consistent, and we'll never go away from it. It's a part of Bear history for sure.
Speaking of Fred Bear, real quick, let me say this: he was ahead of his time, and he was a pioneer and a trailblazer, which is why Pope and Young Club just inducted him into the Pope and Young Hall of Fame, and you were there to receive that award. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to all of Bear Archery, because that is well deserved, because he was ahead of his time and he was a trailblazer, and we are who we are as bow hunters largely due to him. So I just want to make note of that real quick.
I'll give a big amen to that. You're right. And that was quite an honor to be a part of that for sure. So next in the lineup is the Kodiak Magnum. Of course, this has been in our lineup for a long time, but we are just coming up on just over 60 years of that bow being in the traditional lineup for Bear Archery. And with that, we wanted to give it a facelift, if you will, and freshen it up and change some woods out and change some colors out. So what we've done this year, all the specs stay the same. Nothing changes as far as the specs go on the bow, but we're now going to build it out of a Shadua riser with a black stripe, which this is the first time in many, many years that it's ever had a stripe in it. And we're going with a gray glass. So this bow is absolutely went next level with its look. It's absolutely beautiful. That's Shadua wood, and that gray glass just really sets this bow off. And it's going to be the same great shooting bow, just with a new look to it.
Now, I love that gray. That gray looks beautiful on these bows, man. And again, Alec hit it right on the head when he guessed what bow I was going to fall in love with. And we haven't got there yet, but it is in that gray too. That gray is just makes a beautiful bow.
It does. It really does. So I'll skip around a little bit here, and the next bow that's going to get a major facelift, and I think will really intrigue the guys that have fallen in love with this bow, is the 59 Kodiak. It stays in our lineup. Obviously, it's a mainstay with Bear. It's one of the better shooters. People have loved it. It came out in 2013, and this year we've changed it up, and we're going with Shadua riser, and we're keeping the Purple Heart I-beam. And it's going to have the throwback Fred Bear green glass with the white caps. So this bow absolutely, to me, is probably overall the prettiest of all the bows we've ever built. I really think these color combinations just really set this bow off.
Now, I had heard so much about this bow, and I had never had the pleasure of shooting it until I got to shoot it with you back in July. And I fell in love. That is a fun bow to shoot, man.
It really is. And I'll tell you the thing about that bow that makes it shoot so well. I mean, one, it was iconic of its time. The 59 Kodiak was a very raved about bow, but also the feather rest on that is a very forgiving rest. And it just, to me, if Guy has any problems with a bow not shooting correct for him, just put you a feather rest on there, and that's going to change everything for you. It's just that really it really takes that bow next level when it comes to forgiveness and shootability.
Now, quick question on a feather rest, and this might be a silly question, but I want to know. How long does a feather rest seem to last when shooting, like, daily?
Well, obviously they'll wear a little quicker than anything that, the standard shelf plate on it. But a lot of it has to do with the tune of your bow. If you don't have your bow tuned correctly and you're getting some arrow slap and you're getting some kick, you're obviously going to tear your rest up quicker. You can also see that on any shelf rest. You can see where you're wearing it because your bow's not tuned correctly. But if you typically tune your bow correctly and you've got a good straight arrow coming out of there with the least amount of paradox in your arrows you can get, you'll be surprised how many arrows you can shoot out of that bow. I've yet to replace mine, and I've had mine for 3 years. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I shoot it every day because I don't, but the bow's tuned well, and it'll take a lot of punishment.
Now, what is the big difference? Because I noticed that there's no leather wrap on the grip now.
Okay, so that's a great question, Dylan. I was going to get to that. So a lot of guys love the leather wrap, and a lot of guys take it off. And with this new riser and the way that Purple Heart I-beam comes down through the center of it, it just really is a beautiful bow. We still offer the leather wrap. It will come in the box with the bow. You have the choice of whether you want to put it on or not. And so it's still available. You can still put it on there if you want to. If you'd rather just show off the beauty of the wood, then you have that option as well. A lot of guys take it off. They like to just shoot, the standard wood riser. A lot of guys like it on there. So now you have a choice.
Personally, this is my favorite recurve that we do, or traditional bow. Chris knows this. It just has always shot the best for me. and I personally like it without. Everybody has their own opinion. It sure makes the bow look beautiful without it on there, if you're a fan of the wood.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually on my mag riser I took off the rubber grip, thanks to Fred Eichler, and I ended up wrapping that in grip tape. And I've really loved shooting that bow that way. Sits in my hand really well. Which again, that's part of what the leather does. I tend to think that I would probably have to run with the leather if I was going to shoot that bow. Which I'm not. I'm going to shoot another bow in the lineup that I'm incredibly excited about. And I'm ready for you to get to.
I'll get to it in a little bit. We got something else to add first. So you keep mentioning the mag riser and how well you like it, and of course, you can't do an A mag riser without doing a B mag riser. So this year we'll be bringing out the B handle in the mag riser, which is the 19-inch riser. So you'll have the same ability to build your bow with a 56, 58, or I'm sorry, 60, 62, or 64-inch bow, depending on what type of limb you want to shoot with it. It'll be offered in the same two colors as the A-Mag riser was, in the moss green and the Fredbear camo. Again, a lot of guys love the B handle, and you can't have the A handle without having the B handle offering as well. So,
Yeah.
and just like the A handle, this is going to be a right-hand bow only. So sorry about the left-hand shooters. I don't mean to keep you guys from the bow, but just the popularity of the right-handed bow just it kind of keeps us going that direction.
Now, why would and again, that was something a lot of people were mentioning is we want the B riser, we want the B. Well, there you go. Now you've got it. So Bear Archery, not only on the compound side of things, but on the traditional side of things, really did a good job of listening to the community. So kudos to you guys. Big applause from me, because that was what a lot of people were raving about, and now we've got it. So excited about the B handle for sure.
Well, I saved the best for last, I think, probably in your eyes for sure, Dylan.
Oh,
But,
yes, you did.
In 1968, Fred came out with a bow called the Kodiak Hunter, and it's been one of the most raved about bows since that time. And when you look at a lot of these people talking online, and a lot of people that are very familiar with Bear, it's one of the most talked about bows, and everybody is looking for. In fact, I had been looking for a older Kodiak Hunter for a long time. Well, guess what? 2022, you're going to get the opportunity to get your hands on a brand new remake of the original Kodiak Hunter. It's going to be the 60-inch version. It'll come in right-hand models will come in draw weights from 35 to 60 pounds, and the left-hand versions will be 40 and 45 pounds. And it's beautiful Shadua riser with a black stripe. And once again, we've got it in the gray glass with the white and black caps and white and black tips. And I think this is going to be probably, I'm going to predict it's going to be our number one seller for the year.
I am head over heels about this bow, man. This is going to be a flat out shooter. I can already tell you that.
Well, it does. I've had the pleasure. So sorry that no one else has at this point, but it is a great shooting bow.
And what we're so excited about, this has came up a bunch, but everybody has wanted this, and we've been able to, we're definitely listening to the customers and trying to deliver on that.
Correct.
Yeah, and again, Alec was spot on. He said, we've got a bow that is going to be right up your alley, and I thought, well, we'll see how well you know me. And he knew me well, because that bow there gets me excited.
It's a great little bow, great hunting bow, great all-around bow. The difference is it's kind of the same specs as the 59 Kodiak to a point, but slightly thicker in the riser portion, a little bit thicker in the palm. Not much, but a little bit thicker in the palm. Kind of has that happy medium between the 59 Kodiak and the Super Kodiak. So with the shootability of the Kodiak Hunter, the Kodiak Hunter is always raved about as one of the best shooting bows Bear ever came out with, and I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed in this one. It's a really nice bow and aesthetically just beautiful.
Now, again, on the like I shared on the compound side of things, this is the bow that I will personally be shooting in a 50-pound, the 50-pound model, and I just absolutely can't wait to start slinging arrows with that thing. Now, is that all we've got on the traditional side of things?
Yes, sir.
Now, I want you to take a moment and talk about kind of the transition or the shift with rocket broadheads and sick broadheads.
Well, mainly the big thing is sick. The name sick and sick broadheads have done well enough for us that we felt like a couple of the models that were underneath the rocket broadheads, we're going to move them over into sick and let sick take that line up and run with a one name version of all of our broadheads. And we feel like the sick name is the name to do it under, and that's kind of the gist of it. Dylan?
So the Meat Seeker and the Siphon are coming over, correct?
Correct.
Great broadheads, and now they're moving over into a great name, a great, really just a fantastic broadhead line, which I don't know how anything can compete with the SK2, but the Meat Seeker and the Siphon are both great broadheads that will be great under the sick line. So I am personally excited about just how well sick has done and how fantastic those broadheads are, and adding those two broadheads to that line will be just a win-win for everybody.
We certainly think so.
Let's jump into the main line of compounds. Ryan.
Sounds great. So let's start with a very exciting one right off the bat, right? So let's start with our brand new Species EV. So the Species has been in our line for quite a while, and it's kind of one of our staple type bows. So anytime you're replacing something and improving on it, we spend a ton of time in engineering to make sure that it feels and just completely outperforms the bow that was there before. What we've came up with here is, so it's a Species with the EV, so it's kind of like evolved evolution, so to say. This is available in the RTH, and I'd mentioned before that on our RTHs, we've improved them this year with the VRES, so that's also the case on this particular bow. But we wanted to still keep to what the Species is. So it's 320 feet per second with the single cam, 80% let off. So that single cam still is very, very smooth, draws very great draw cycle, which is why we stay with the single cam on this particular bow. Extremely light at 3.8 pounds. So you mentioned before, some people like that lightness in their bow. This gives you that. You can always make it heavier with other accessories after the fact, but you're going to start light and then you work your way up. Very long brace height, so 6.75 on this particular bow, and 30-inch axle to axle, and a lot of adjustment from 23 and a half to 30 and a half. And then the draw weights on this bow is 45 to 60 and 55 to 70. So what we're excited about this bow is every time you do a single cam, you do some tweaks, some things like that. So we've tweaked and adjusted this. The draw on this bow is so silky smooth. I mean, it just is a joy to shoot, and really helps you with a lot of forgiveness in the overall shot. 80% let off. It's light at 3.8, long brace height, smooth right off the bat. So very excited to get this bow out in the market and get it in a lot of people's hands. And then from a look perspective, and you can hit on this, I mean, it looks a lot more modern than what our other Species did. We changed the limb takeoff angle, some of that fun, nerdy bow stuff that I like to talk about. Just makes it look so much more modern. Also has improved some of that shootability on this bow as well.
This riser, again, looks a lot like the Divergent riser, which doesn't hurt my feelings.
No, we really the Divergent riser kind of set in motion a lot of bows for us, like the Legit and Paradox, and you still can see it continuing on the line of, gives us that really nice modern look. Also, just it works well with everything else that we do with our cams and our limbs, and really putting it all together.
Now, here's what I want to say about Bear Archery and their lineup, and again, I want to give a huge applause because you offer these price point bows and these bows that like the legit that will fit anyone and everyone, from kids to wives to aunts and uncles and brothers and cousins, and these bows that'll fit everybody and fit into a phenomenal price point, but they don't look cheap. That's like my biggest pet peeve is when it's like, well, come get this bow for $3.99. You're like, well, yeah, but it looks like a toy, and these bows just look phenomenal, and they perform even better. The legit, I was blown away by the legit at that price point and at that adjustability, blown away by it. So again, hats off to Bear Archery.
Well, we appreciate that, and I feel like you gave me a great segue into not new models, but a couple models that we focused our look on this year quite a bit. So in the legit, which did extremely well for us, and we offer it in a ton of different camo patterns. We did offer it in one new one this coming year. Well, actually in Vail Whitetail, and then also Mossy Oak Bottomlands. But on top of that, we did a black and electric blue combo that we think will be appealing to so many people. I actually turkey hunted with this. It looks so good. So it's got electric blue strings. It has an electric blue wrist sling. It has electric blue highlights on the quiver. Plus then it's all black. So it jumps out at you when you see it. Another bow that we really attacked aesthetically this year and one model would be the Prowess. So it's kind of our women specific, or even just a shorter draw specific type bow. And we did it in a nice all gray color with those same blue, electric blue highlights. It really pops. So just to echo your point, we definitely focus a lot on the look as well.
Yeah, that's what that bow there. When I was looking through the catalog, I said, "Babe, look at this bow right here, the Prowess in this color and that electric and gray." And she said, "I like my legit." And I'm like, "Well, okay."
Well, when she sees it in the blue and the blue and the black, she might like that. You might need a
she's
backup.
actually shooting the Ghost, and that bow looks phenomenal.
It's a very good look. I like. Yep, and it's a little bit lighter. It's a very good looking bow.
Yeah, it really is. And so again, hats off to you guys. And we're about to get to one that really, really tempted me in this lineup, and I loved the specs on it, and I'm excited to talk about it. But let's move on.
All right. I think I have one more bow to go over before we get into the one that you were the most tempted by. I'm guessing would be complete new bow for us is the Resurgence LD. So the LD stands for longer draw. So I'll just start with that. So this bow is adjustable from 25 to 32. It's a single cam. It's 310 feet per second, 32-inch axle to axle, 7-inch brace height, and then 45 to 60 or 55 to 70 draw weight limbs, and then the overall weight is still very light at 3.9 pounds. But what we're trying to do here is make sure that we cover some of those longer draw lengths, right? So that you're able to get into a bow that's something easy that you can shoot and then it fits you. So, and then we have had longer draw lengths in the past, but this riser is just a little bit longer, really fits and feels really good for those longer draws. And then we say longer draw, but we have a ton of customers that just want a very smooth draw. This would also, of course, fit that bill. I mean, when we're talking a 32-inch axle to axle, 80% let off, you set this at 29, 28, 30, whatever draw you need. It would be a very smooth drawing bow for you.
And that's a bow that new VMAX is included in the package, correct?
This bow is a bow only.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the Resurgence LD is bow only. The Resurgence is a ready to hunt package.
Yep. So it sounds like you can't wait for me to talk about the Resurgence.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So the Resurgence, obviously the Resurgence and the Resurgence LT are very related, right? So the Resurgence is another new bow in the line. It's at that $599 price point. And I bring that up because it is an RTH, so the value on this bow is huge. It's available in Vail Whitetail, True Timber Strata, Mossy Oak Breakup, and Shadow. It does get the new V-Rest. The specs on this are phenomenal. So this also gets our new DHC hybrid cam, which I talked a little bit about before. And on this particular model, the specs are 335 feet per second, so very fast. Axle to axle is 32 inch. It is 6.25 brace height, and then 45 to 60 and 55 to 70. A lot of adjustment in the draw length. I'm kind of excited about this spec. So 25 and a half to 31, and then 80% let off in it, as I mentioned before. And then still very light at the 3.9 pounds. So you're getting a ton of performance in this bow and the RTH. So especially if you're, many people like that kind of longer axle to axle. So you get that 32 inch, but you're still getting a lot of speed with that 335. And then with that hybrid cam system, that feels really good at the 80% let off. This also includes our new in-limb dampening system, the Killer Wave. So helps take that vibration out of the bow.
Now, this bow is a lot like the Alaskan, correct?
Yes, very, very much so.
Which,
The Alaskan
again,
is the Alaskan, when you look at the specs and everything else, it's a bow only version.
gotcha. So let me just mention this. This bow here is right up my alley on specs. So if you're looking for a bow that I can guarantee you is going to perform and going to hit a sweet spot, for me at least, but need more of a price point bow, this bow right here would be a flat out performing son of a gun. And this is kind of an all new price point for Bear Archery.
It is, and that's actually a good reason. So that's why there's a resurgence in the RTH. So if you just want something at this price point, and then get right into a package, so you're ready to shoot or hunt right, walking out the door, that's great. But it's also got so much performance in it. We wanted to offer it in the bow only as well. That way, I mean, you can up the ante with whatever accessories you want on it, right? So start to put dropaways and react sights and other fun things like that on it as well. So kind of fits there where you can start to really get some very high-end accessories on it, and then also get you something that's very, very good accessories and get you shooting right away.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about that bow. I think for people looking for more of a price point bow, but not going all the way down to something, not going all the way down to something like the Paradox, that bow right there is going to be a phenomenal choice. Again, that one right there really, really tempted me to not go with the Refine. So I would highly recommend checking out that bow and the next bow. The last bow that we're going to discuss, I really like the specs on this bow too. And again, looks phenomenal. I love kind of more of the simplicity in this next bow.
Yep. So the next bow is the Escalate. We're really excited about this bow. There's a lot of new technology at this particular price point in our line. So this is a 749 bow. It's 339 feet per second, so very fast. 31 inch axle to axle, and I'm actually kind of the guy that likes it 30 to 31. So this fits what I like a little bit different than the Refine does. It's 6.5 inch brace height. 45 to 60 or 55 to 70 on the limbs, 26 to 30 draw length. It features our EKO cam, which is adjustable let off of 75, 80, 85, and 90. What's very exciting to me on this particular bow is we did add some of our VRS vibration reduction system into this model, which we had really only had in the Redemption last year.
Now,
So
is this the first bow in the main line that's had the KO cam?
no, The Divergent last
Okay.
year had the EKO. It is
okay.
the first bow to have in the main line to have the VRS system in it.
Okay.
So that part is unique to this bow. And what we did there is we added 2 of the VRS discs, when it's top, when it's bottom, right in the middle of the cam, much like the Redemption. Helps. It really does take a lot of vibration out. Also added the killer waves on this as well. This bow also is getting our new Grizz grip that I went over before, which just ergonomically fits your hands. So well that we think a lot of shooters will enjoy that. The bow still stays very light at the 4.1. I also like a light bow, and then I can always make it heavier if one desires. So fits the lineup very, very well. We think with the right here adding the VRS with the EKO cam, you're just getting a ton of technology for a really great price.
Yeah, I'm incredibly excited about this entire lineup. So guys, make sure and head over to beararchery.com and look at these for yourself. Make sure and head over to all of Bear Archery's social media platforms to get entered to win all of these giveaways. Again, covering that back up, our big giveaway, we're going to give away an Axis deer hunt in Texas with me at Texas Hunting Resources. You can check them out at texashuntingresources.com or on Instagram at Texas Hunting Resources. They are a phenomenal outfit, and we're going to go down there and have a blast hunting some free range axis during their rut of the summer in 2022, and just have a good time doing that and help you with a new refine and some accessories to go along with it. But Bear is going to be giving away a bow a day. So go check out Bear Archery's social media. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. Before we go, I do got to give another quick thank you to our friends over at Selway Archery. They make, in my opinion, some of the greatest traditional quivers that money can buy. So on that brand new Kodiak Hunter, I will have the Grayling quiver on it. I can promise you that. So go check out Selway Archery for all of your traditional archery quiver needs because they are great friends of Bear Archery and have some awesome Bear Archery branded quivers to fit that new traditional bow that you're about to order. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, big congratulations from me on a fantastic catalog, on a fantastic launch, and really hitting the nail on the head with this launch.
We appreciate it. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure and check out this entire lineup because I can promise you there is a bow for you in this lineup. Thanks for listening. You guys have a great week and good luck this fall.